off, bushes are your friend, and it's going to give you a crossbow, which is one of the best weapons in the game. It does ammo a little different. You'll find it by trees, but the trees ultimately respawn. They're little saplings. It's very lethal and silent. It's going to really be the most powerful, amazing weapon you have right out the door. And there's a ranged weapon skill tree if you want to use it, but basically, especially once you unlock that ranged skill tree, these are your these are your skill trees. You've got a melee, a ranged, and a survival. The melee, in all honesty, is going to probably be one of the better things, especially this field repairs. Um, It'll let you repair the melee weapons, which are as much as 20 times more powerful, and this is very early game. So this is a melee weapon, even if it was a basic bat. This is an upgraded bat. It's going to just be, but they wear out and break. This one's at 37%. So this is the default weapon you have. It's unbreakable. And to give you some idea of what's going on here is this, right? So the default is 3 combos, and you don't use endurance when you're attacking. Let's see how many times I've hit this guy. It took a lot to. It took a whole lot to kill this guy. Now I'm going to switch to this bat. 3 hits versus like 9 or 10, right? And there's different melee weapons out there, machete stuff, but in general, taking a bat or a 2 before when you unlock different upgrades like this spiked weapon. And then this is what it'll do when you have that skill. See, it says R2 repair. This is 5 out of 9 scrap. You can hold a maximum of 10. So I usually don't get it this low, but I'm trying to find out when it's all but broken how much scrap it uses and if there's a difference between the different weapons, if one's more efficient to repair than others. So other is when most of your attacks starting out, it's going to end up being stealth like this. And you're not going to be dealing with hordes. So again, there's your crossbow and there's your melee and sneak. That's going to be pretty much your go-to. There's these little brown sapling type trees, and I don't see any readily here, but that will let you do this. Your crossbow initially only has like I think 5 or 10 rounds. You can hold 3 saplings. It takes a sapling and a scrap. So also, let's see here. Your crossbow, if you'll notice, upper right, it says weapon 4 mil-spec condition. If you pre-ordered, you get a rank 4 weapon. Otherwise, it's rank 3. Once a weapon is rank 4 or above, when you aim with it, the sway is all but gone, and this is irrelevant of the skill. There's some skills in the range tree that say like affect accuracy, all that other stuff. As far as I can tell, it's bugged, or I haven't a clue what they mean by this. So there's one ability to, where is it? Move and aim range weapon with more precision. Didn't affect the precision of any weapons, regardless. Again, this is a quick guide, and the next one was where is it here? Dead shot, increased range. Nothing's affect accuracy. The only thing that I've seen that affects accuracy is the weapon, and there's no way to change the condition. You'll just find. So this is a rank 4 mil spec. This is a rank 3. There's a massive difference. Ranks 1, 2, and 3 of the weapons are going to all behave the same, and the shotguns are the least wobbly. So I'm going to exaggerate here because it's hard to tell. But I'm aiming, I'm not moving the joystick or anything. You can't really see the wobble. When you're doing like a pistol or something else, it's going to be massive. You're going to be so frustrated. And when you go to aim the reticle, see how that slowly shrinks in? It's going to be way out there and take forever to shrink in. And then every time you fire, it's going to make that reticle just expand to maximum. And again, I've found nothing to change that with the exception of a rank 4 weapon or above. It's going to take you a long time to get there. So I recommend that until you do, that you plan on using your crossbow and your melee weapons. You're going to be dealing with this skill tree here. The melee weapons first is field repairs. The other stuff is whatever you want. The next one is hard hitter. Once you have those two, then except not the knife that you start with, but any weapon that you pick up, like this bat I have, the damage it puts out is just going to be phenomenal. And you will find a lot. So even if you don't have the ability to repair. And then I think the enemies might be tougher at night. I'm not sure. But there's much better weapons than this out there. That will let you get into fights. And then if you dodge, there's no way to block. That blue bar will use up stamina. I've got that ranked up a few times. That's going to go down quick. And I would recommend there's a game element that will let you increase your stamina, health, or they have this ability when you're shooting called focus, and it slows down time more or less. I would probably say put points into stamina and focus depending on your play style, because especially if you're wanting to like try and fight a bunch of melee enemies, the only way you're going to survive it is by dodging, and dodging uses up stamina. And especially before you learn all the little kind of nuances on how to dodge efficiently, it's like 4 dodges and you'll run out of stamina at the very beginning, I think. Right, and running uses up stamina too. So if you're not careful, you'll be completely out of stamina and you're going to die. So I think I'll leave that up for the quick guide. Again, crossbow. I don't like any of the sidearm stuff early game. I don't like any of the main weapons early game. I love the crossbow, and I love melee. And I don't normally like to do up close. I like ranged, unless it's a melee focused game. And this is what you're going to do. Again, it's a quick guide. I'm not trying to cover all the bases. Especially if you sleep, there's a sleep mechanic in the game. At some point, it will completely reset everything. So, unlike a lot of other survival games, this will reset. So then, if you can research an abandoned car and find materials in it, etc. So, I guess my last thing is don't feel like stuff is so rare. Like, I've looted this area. I better be careful not to use up all my scrap and stuff. It's going to be pretty hard for you to run out of the various crafting resources and stuff. Same thing with fuel on the bike, but I have run out of gas a couple times, so be a little careful. That's probably a good next step. I wanted to keep this really short, but you can wrap it up now. I'm not sure there's anything of relevance, but hear about the bike, stuff that's not that intuitive. When you're on the bike, down in the bottom right, honestly, I don't know what the wrench stuff is. Maybe it changes colors if things start to get really bad. But the white gasoline, it's in the bottom right. It's it looks like I guess a gas station pump. It will eventually turn yellow when it's like about a third or something, and I think when you've got like 10%, it turns red. But you can run out of gas. That 2 and then a little bag, it's kind of hard to tell that's a bag. That's something you unlock later. It won't be there. And then that blue line, which is the one thing that wasn't too clear, because you do have a boost system. And notice as I boost, that line starts to go down. That line will go down super quick. But long story is, once you're aware of that line, you know when to like stop boosting, because it's not really going to benefit you anymore. And then these bushes are amazing. If you'll notice also in the bottom right, there's an icon of like an eyeball. If there's an X in the very middle of the eyeball, it means that basically the enemy can't find you as long as you don't act aggressively with either melee or noise. Right, so now I'm unseen with the eyeball, but I can still be found or detected eventually here. Um, Now, sometimes if an enemy sees you go in here, it won't get that X in the middle. But you'd be amazed, especially if you do like a dodge around this tree and then come in here, that X will show back up on a lot of enemies. And I guess I'll leave it on a final note. The AI that is human, not the monsters or the mutants or whatever you want to think of them as, in most cases, once they're aware and they've gone active, they have a crazy, uncanny ability to know where you are at times. So be prepared to immediately have to like back off and come back around, and I mean really back off. There will be numerous instances where you feel they've completely lost sight of you and everything. You've flanked around them and everything, and then all of a sudden, once you get into this little area, they know exactly where you are and they come charging at you again. Um, so just watch out for that. The one thing that may somehow mitigate that is getting in a bush, because I think there's been some places where there was a lot of cover, like a little wall or whatever, like these buildings over here, but there weren't any bushes. And it may have been that I never stepped into a bush to get that X, and somehow, because of the way the AI is coded. So I'll leave it at that. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick guide on Essentials.